2. Check, check, check. Wireless 1, wireless 1, wireless 2, wireless 2. Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody good? Everybody good? Wireless 1, wireless 1, wireless 2, wireless 2. A reminder to please silence or turn off your cell phones. Thank you. Who's working that side? Whoever does, there's one. Check with man, make sure he's good.
Hey, appreciate everybody coming out this morning. Obviously, Coach will visit with you here for 25, 30 minutes or so, and then players will be available over Street Building from 10 to 11. Selected players. We will make Jake available. I think we'll bring him to the team meeting room, just because I assume there'll be a lot of you that want to talk to him, so we'll kind of separate him at first to spend a little time with you, but obviously the other players will be available as well. So practice gets started then on Saturday. It's closed. We do have a junior day going on as well, so that's the reason for that. And then starting Monday, we'll let you view some of the first part of practice. So with that, Coach Muschamp.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate y'all being here. Excited about spring ball starting Saturday. We've had a pretty solid off season. You know, we're finishing our third week of the guys working out, and been pretty pleased with the progress we've made, which is expected in your second year. A little more understanding of what we're trying to do and where we're trying to head with some things. A couple things that really challenged our guys about is continuing to improve our mental and physical toughness. You know, we didn't handle some things well on the road. Didn't handle adversity very well at some times. We've got to learn to play through those situations. I certainly think the experience for a lot of young guys is going to help us with that, but that's something we've tried to create as much adversity as we could throughout the all-season program. Moving into spring ball, we'll continue to do so. And in physical toughness, I think stats can be very misleading at times depending on how you want to spin it, but we struggled to run the ball offensively, and we struggled to stop the run defensively, and a lot of that goes back to toughness. You know, it goes back to the core values of our program, and we want to be a physically tough football team, and we weren't. We were a soft organization last year, and it was disappointing, to put that on the field. Call it like it is. Physical is a state of mind, and we've got to continue to buy into that and understand that. And it's not about both lines of scrimmage. That's where it starts, but it's all 11 on the field at one time, and we got to be a tougher football team moving forward. I really addressed our guys about accountability. The great teams I've been involved with, the championship teams that I've been involved with, had great accountability within the unit and holding guys accountable and not letting your teammate down. And that's something we've got to continue to push forward with, and getting that right kind of leadership, which I think we certainly have some guys that have the ability to certainly positively affect the guys around them. But, we set a high standard here of what we want to achieve, and we got to embrace it. You got to embrace the adversity. You got to embrace the work. You got to embrace the grind. And our guys are starting, in my opinion, to more understand it. We've still got a ways to go. As far as injury-wise, we really only had one postseason surgery as far as the season. That was Brian Edwards, had a sports hernia. He's fine. Probably could practice Saturday. Here we go. Who's in charge of football ops? I mean, seriously, we got a press conference and we got work going on. That's classic. All right, but here we go. But Brian could probably practice Saturday. Brian really hadn't been healthy since he's been here. He had a meniscus coming out of Conway. He was, battled through that last spring. He had the hamstring issues in the fall, and really the sports hernia came up late in the season. He played in pain the entire season, really. And so we need to get him healthy. So I'm going to let him do some individual, but I'm not going to let him do in the team periods. He's actually been cleared. He's probably about 85% right now. But we need to get him back, and we'll have miss the first 4, and then he'll have the week of spring break to get him back healthy. That's the most important thing right now. But he's fine. Trey Smith had the ankle at Wando, which he injured to end his senior season there. Same thing with him. I'm gonna let him go through individual and that sort of thing, but we're going to hold him for the 11-on-11 stuff till after spring break is over to let him get back. Christian Pelledge has got a strained calf. Should be probably Monday. I don't know if he'll practice Saturday. And Rendricus Davis has a strained ab. Probably be Monday for him. I don't know if he'll practice Saturday. C.J. Freeman, obviously, with the knee is out. And Morgan Vest, a walk-on defensive back, had meniscus surgery. He'll probably miss the first half of spring. Brandon McElwain is in all of our meetings. He's staying with baseball at this time full-time. But he's been in all of our meetings, and a part of our all-season program has allowed his class schedules allowed him to be here in the mornings and meet with us and go through those sort of things. And Evan Henson is staying with basketball at this time. Frank and I talked the other night, and he's doing a nice job over there and has maybe a possible opportunity to play. So we're going, in the recruiting process with both those young men, we told them they would have the opportunity to play full time, and that's what we'll do at this time. I think offensively, the best, we need to find out is our best 5, our best 6, 7, 8, and who those guys are. Obviously, at left tackle, avoid there with Mason graduating, but we'll start spring with Malik Young and Cedarius Hutcherson playing left tackle. As far as the other tackle positions, Zach Bailey and Blake Camper are 2 guys that we feel like can sit at the right tackle position and play productive football for us. DJ Park's a guy that can always bump outside and play, which he has before. And Sammy Carley's a guy we're going to work at right tackle as well as the young players here mid-year. Inside-wise would be, DJ Park obviously can play both spots, but Corey Helms, Allen Knott, Donnell Stanley's back healthy, which is good. Trey Duran, Christian Pelledge. All of those guys, Chandler Farrell plays center, back up at center for us, and then Pika and Will Putnam. So we've got good depth in the offensive line for spring in order to rep and improve our physicality. Having Jake back in the second year is great. He's a guy that's really attacked the offseason, in my opinion, the right way as far as his meetings are concerned and really getting a better grasp of what we are offensively and moving forward. Michael Scarnecchia will be back healthy to get him back, and he'll get a bunch of reps. And Bailey Hart and Danny Gordon are 2 guys that will be able to get some reps as well at the quarterback position. Great to have Hayden back after a record-setting season at tight end as far as receptions are concerned, and really excited to see him back. But I think we got really good depth and quality players at the position. Casey Crosby, Jacob August, Kyle Markway's back healthy to get him and a guy that can block at the point of attack. And Keel Pollard's had a fantastic offseason. Been really proud of how he's continued to evolve. At the running back position, we got a lot of competition. Tyson Williams is a guy we're excited about that, obviously sat out this past year, but we think's got a huge upside. And of course, Rico had a good year, and AJ had a good year. Mon Denson's back healthy, so we're excited about that. We feel good about our depth at the receiver position, even though Ortre and Brian will miss the first part of spring, but we think we got good quality players and guys that need to continue to develop. Defensively, Taylor and York could be 2 seniors inside players, and we really need these next 3 guys, Stephon Taylor, Kobe Smith, and Aaron Thompson, to really step up. You know, they've been through a redshirt season, and these guys need to take a step forward for us defensively. We're huge. Part of our success is going to be how those three guys continue to come on for us. Keir Thomas can swing and play both inside and out. Dante Sawyer will play in, but also is a guy that we need to rush more inside to get more speed on the field. Shamik Blackshear's had a good all season. Dexter Weidman, Griffin Gentry. Those guys, Dennis Woolman and Danny Fennell, will play the buck. Dennis has had a good all season. He's up to 250, so I'm excited about where he is. It's great to get Sky Moore back. He's had a really good all season. He had a little bit of a turf toe today, but he'll be fine for Saturday. He's been cleared for everything, so excited to get him back on the field. He's adds obviously playmaking ability, experience, but speed. I mean, we get a lot faster when he's on the field, and we need to continue to move that direction. Bryson is a guy that, again, needs to rush more for us to get more speed on the field situationally. And I think he's had a really good offseason. T.J. Brunson's changed his body and continued to do some really good things for us as a true freshman at linebacker. But he needs to continue to take the next step. The secondary, Jamarcus King, Chris Lamons, Rashad Fenton are all corners that are back that have played a lot. Caleb Chalmers is a young man that's on campus right now that could play both corner and safety and the nickel position. DJ Smith, Stephen Montack, Anton Wilder, and Jalen Dickerson, who's been really impressed with him as a freshman coming into our all-season program and taking steps forward to play the safety position. So we feel, good about the depth there. Javon Charleston's also going to be a defensive back full-time for us as far as a guy that's, we feel like can contribute. I thought he did some nice things when we moved him over this past fall. We got a lot of questions in the specialist area. Alex Wozniak is a guy that we feel like's got the ability to be our place kicker. He and Michael Allman will battle that job out, and then Joseph Charlton and Michael's a swing guy to be able to punt. So we've got to answer some questions there. And as far as the snappers are concerned, Nick McGriff, Ben Osbury, and Harrison Freeman are three guys that we need. Drew is a huge asset for us as far as in coverage and reliable with the snap. So we've got to make some strides there as far as special teams are concerned, and I'll open it up for any questions.
Raise your hand, get the microphone to you. Start over there with Gina.
Will, it sounds like you have a lot more competitive depth this spring than you did last spring. Is that right? But also, how many more strides do you have to go with that before you get where you want with that competitive depth?
Well, I don't think we're never going to get where we want to be. I mean, that's just as a coach, you'll never be satisfied as far as that's concerned. But there's no question we've got, we don't have depth at linebacker, and that's coming in the fall. But we at most positions we've got. Competition's my best motivator. The guys know they've got to go out and perform every single day, and that promotes consistency in your performance when you got to do it every single day. And a guy can't relax. A guy can't have an off day. And so that helps your organization as much as anything. But there's no question it's better.
Coach, do you expect to have McElwain at all during the spring, and where does he fit in the quarterback situation?
Well, he's battling to be the starter. But he's been involved in all of our meetings, all the mental stuff's going on. And again, in the recruiting process, when Brandon and his parents, he was going to play baseball full-time after his first spring, and that's where we are.
What are you expecting from Jake workload this spring-wise, and how big of a step does he need to make in terms of understanding the system and adding to what he can do? Well,
I think, work's not going to be an issue for Jake. He's going to work. That's one of the great talents he has is his work ethic. So, but he's a guy that, you got to continue to work on your timing all the time, continue to work on the fundamentals and techniques of the position, and obviously your understanding of the game. The game's going to continue to slow down for a guy like him. And but I'm never concerned about his work ethic and his, how he's going to positively affect the guys around him. That's going to happen, and that's what's expected, but that's something that I know will happen with him.
Just what did you see from Zach that kind of made him a candidate at tackle as compared to guard last year?
Well, athletically, we feel like he can certainly play the right side in the right tackle position, and felt like Malik and Sedarius are both guys that are probably the fastest twitch guys we've got up front to go play where you need to have your best athlete on the offensive line. So Zach's a good enough athlete to play on the edge. We felt that way. We felt like he would handle the move the best. And again, it's all about finding the best guys to go out there and play well.
Will, how has Sky kind of approached his return? Do you feel like he had to gained back any of that leadership credibility that he had after sitting out? Do you feel like he's fully invested back?
No, he's you know, I think as a playmaker and a player and a guy that's led the team in tackles for his first three years, start as a true freshman, you don't lose credibility. I mean, with your teammates, they understand, and he's been through a very frustrating time. You know, he's had a lot of setbacks, and I think he's handled it extremely well. He's been very mature about the whole thing, and I've been really proud of him and how he's really attacked the offseason. He's gone after it hard. And really, you know, we kind of shut him down. I mean, when you go through this surgery, you're shut down for probably, 5 months or so. So it's been a tough all season for him, but it's been good, and his leadership ability for our football team is going to be huge.
Do you know what spot he'll play positionally for you guys, or do you want to look at him on the field?
No, he's going to play the will or the dime in our sub packages, and have the ability to play the mic. But the mic and the will for us is a pretty similar position. The two inside backer spots. Bryson in our regular package right now would be playing the Sam, and obviously TJ play the mic and the will. So, but all three of those guys really are pretty versatile. They're very intelligent, and they're good players, and they can play multiple spots.
Kind of along that subject line, how do you go about managing when you've only got those 3 scholarship guys this spring and kind of, I guess, limiting their reps maybe so, guard against injury or overworking them since
Well, you can't worry about that. That's part of the game. So you take the reps, and then we got some other guys, and Hassan Belton's a walk-on, and some other guys that are on the team that can go rep for them. And we're going to look at more dime package stuff to have a 6 DB in the game and only 1 linebacker on the field because we got to put Bryson at the buck for some rush situations. So we'll look at some different packages to be able to adjust. No different you would in the season. If you go down a couple guys, you got to be able to adapt and adjust.
Rico is a bigger back, and AJ is maybe more of a speed guy. Where does Tyson fit into that spectrum, and what do you expect from him?
I think his running styles would be more similar to Rico. As a bigger back, as a vertical back, one-cut runner, runs through contact extremely well. Great work ethic, has really good hands out of the backfield, catches the ball extremely well. So I would say that he's a very similar running style to Rico. I think all three of those complement each other extremely well, and in our league, it's tough to make it through the season with 1 or 2.
You talked a lot about speed last year, and I know you can only address a lot of that through recruiting, but is it possible to tailor part of the offseason program for your returning guys to get better in that area? Or is that
that's part of our offseason program. We do 2 linear days of plyometric and explosive, change of direction and plyometric work as far as working on your explosive power. So that's something we're consistently working on in our weight room and in our all-season program.
Will, how has Eric led the offensive line so far in his time here? I know those guys were really tied to Sean and knew him a lot.
Sure. Well, he hasn't given up a sack or a tackle for a loss, so we love him. That's kind of how it works, First time we have a tackle for a loss, we'll all be booing him, But no, he's a really good football coach. He's been a really good fit on our staff. I love his mentality. It's a blue-collar mentality that much like myself, and how he coaches the guys on the field. So I've been very pleased. But after that first tackle for a loss, we'll all be yelling. So it's part of it.
How healthy is Shameik Blackshear with the original knee and then building his strength back up?
He's as healthy as he's been since I've been here. And, that was another thing. When you miss an entire offseason of lifting, kind of like Dante Sawyer with the labrum last year, Alan Knott last summer missed an entire summer because of surgery on his hand. I mean, you sometimes as a coach, you forget about that, and you've seen the strength gains that Dante's had, Shameik has had, Alan has had in our off-season program. To only have 1 off-season surgery is huge. To be able to have all these guys to go through the entire off-season as far as the lifting and the grind is concerned. So, but no, Shameik's been cleared for everything.
What are your expectations for how much he'll contribute this fall?
Well, again, he's going to have every opportunity this spring to be a productive player. He'll get plenty of reps to be a guy that can figure in and help us. And we certainly need him to take a positive step forward.
Coach, you talk a lot about embracing adversity. How have you simulated that, and how do you plan to simulate those types of situations this spring?
Well, I think you create fatigue and have the guys battle through it. And whether it's in a running drill or it's in an all-season program, it's in the weight room or it's on the football field. But we've got to be able to create the adversity. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in the season, and our guys have to do a better job of mentally battling through those situations. And that's something that we've addressed with them. We've talked to them about it, and we've tried to create as much of that as we could in the off-season program, and we will continue to in spring ball.
Coach, what are your goals or expectations for this group now that you're in your second spring here?
Well, I mean, our goals don't ever change. We want to win the East, and that's what we want to do.
The biggest thing for Jamarcus King was to add weight. How has he done in that, and how has he changed his body physically?
Well, just biggest thing with Jamarcus is he's a guy that hasn't really lifted, and again, came in the summer and had really an 8-week program to get ready for the season, and that's a little daunting, and as much. So for him to be able to really concentrate, and Jamarcus has been very, great attitude as far as understanding what he needs to do to improve as a player. We all can improve as coaches and as players, and sometimes it's easy for a player to try and accentuate his strengths instead of his weaknesses and the things he needs to work on. And he's embraced gaining weight. He has embraced the weight room, and that was really important for him in understanding that. And I've been very pleased with his attitude and his buy-in for it.
Will, you talked about the guys having a little more understanding of what's expected of them. How about for yourself this offseason? You're not scrambling around trying to put a staff together. Do you feel much more comfortable and in charge of what the direction is here?
Well, I mean, I think that I was still learning everybody's name last year. So, but I think that there's no question is from our coaching staff standpoint, there's a lot of continuity and a shared vision of what we want. And I think our players understand the expectation. They understand the standard. They understand what we're looking for. This is a coaching staff that's won multiple championships, conference championships, national championships. We know what good looks like. We know what it feels like. And our players, in my opinion, have done a good job of buying into that and understanding that culture and where we want to go with it.
Coach, directly going off of that, what are the examples you're seeing of the ways the guys are buying in compared to what you were seeing when you were still learning those names a year ago?
Well, I mean, the first thing is the first recruiting weekend in January, I bet you there was 25 to 30 guys voluntarily in the weight room. And I'm walking in there. I thought Dillman was having a lift, and he said, no, they're coming in on their own to do extra work. So those sort of things show the signs that you want to have in your program. That's what good programs do. That's what good players do. They work on their own. I asked the guys in a team meeting this morning, how much are you doing outside of the building? How much are you working on football outside of the building? And the really good players I've been around, they did it all the time. You didn't have to ask them to do it. And we've got guys doing that.
Coach, you mentioned Keel Pollard had a fantastic offseason. What did he do to set himself apart, and how competitive do you think that position battle will be with the 3 leading guys returning this year?
Absolutely. I think the big thing is he's changed his body a little bit. He got in better shape. That was a struggle for him in the fall, but a guy that I think's improved his speed. I think he's a guy that we certainly are going to rely on in the passing game, and obviously he is a guy that can hold the point as far as the run blocking is concerned. But I just think he's consistently was really good in the all-season program for us as far as his attitude and how he went about things. And we've got a lot of competition at that position.
Coach, I know you talked about Brandon McElwain will be competing to earn a starting job at quarterback, but down the stretch you started Bentley, and now he's the guy right now who would appear to be number 1 in spring practices. What would you look for Bentley and how to secure that number 1 spot as you go into the fall with him getting a lot of the reps right now to take that next step while McElwain's in baseball?
Well, I think there's so many things Jake can work on, and he understands that. And that's the one thing, as I addressed earlier, he's not a guy that I'm going to worry about his work ethic. He's going to work, and whether it's the basic fundamentals and techniques of the position, understanding the offense, and positively affecting everybody around him, which he's got the ability to do. So those are the things we've got to continue to push forward with.
You mentioned the defensive backs becoming more physical. How much more comfortable are you with that, with the newcomers and with the returners now that they've had a year to kind of experience what you want from them?
Well, I'm not comfortable at all until we practice. We hadn't practiced, so we'll get on the field, and we're going to give them a bunch of opportunities to be physical. They're going to love it.
Any strategy to moving the spring game a week earlier, not against the Masters, only SEC spring game that day?
Well, there's a couple things. The Masters weekend obviously that did affect us a little bit, obviously, with our crowd was concerned, and we need to have a huge crowd for the recruits that will be at the game. That was one part of it. But the other part of it, I felt like when we ended spring ball last year, we were into a discretionary week, we're into a week of exams, and our guys most of our guys don't come to May Mester. So they really are starting school at the end of May, 1st of June for an 8-week program to get ready for the season. And I felt like we lost some strength gains from the off-season program. So to have the spring game a little earlier, to have 2 weeks of lifting outside of that time frame to go into the summer, I thought we would have less loss of strength, in my opinion, as far as workouts are concerned. Because at the end of the day, primarily most guys are going to work a lot harder when Jeff Dillman's standing by them, and that's just the way it is. So I felt like that we lost some things from the all-season program from last year.
How much do you like to move guys around in the spring, specifically on the offensive line and the defensive backfield between cornerback and safety?
Well, it's huge. I mean, to be able to prepare for the season, to cross-train guys, because in the season, it's not about putting the next guy in on the depth chart. It's about putting the next best player in. So if it means moving a corner to nickel, or a safety to corner, or a corner to safety, or the right tackle needs to go to the left guard position when this guy goes down, and all the scenarios that you go through as a coach, we're not getting ready for a game. We're installing our system, which the players have a better understanding of. So you're able to cross-train guys at different positions to always be able to put the best 11 out there instead of just the next guy at the position, because that's not really what we want to do. We want to put the best 11 out.
You like to put the pedal to the metal when it comes to physicality, so how are you going to deal with the new rules where they're dialing back physicality or talking about dialing it back in practice and in off-season work?
I really feel we're in accordance with the rules right now, because we do thud tempo. We stay off the ground. We don't do full scrimmage, maybe 2 scrimmages in fall, maybe 2 in the spring game. So really, in what I've seen from the new practice techniques that they want to have, we are already in accordance and in compliance with that. Now, obviously in the fall, we will have an extra day off during the calendar week, and that is a full day off of practice, walk through everything, which will be a little different, but they want to back camp up, so you can account for those days and still have the same number of practices. But really, we're in compliance right now with how the rules are being presented.
So Darius Hutcherson was a guy that a lot of players mentioned through bowl prep. What did he do last year in those Sunday scrimmages, and how did he progress to being a left tackle candidate?
Well, I think he's a really good athlete. He's a guy that we recruited, projected a little bit as a guy that was probably 240 when he showed up on campus for his official visit, and now he's at 310. So he's a guy that, has the fast twitch you want at the position to block the elite rushers in our league. He's got a really good work ethic. He has a really good competitive edge, and a guy that we feel like can be a good offensive lineman. And so he's shown all of those things, but he consistently practices hard every day. He goes after it, and he's got a great competitive edge about himself. He goes and competes, and that's something that obviously your teammates notice and see.
Were there guys in the interior line that you saw kind of taking big steps forward that sort of allow you to say we can probably move Zach outside?
Well, I think, obviously we're getting Donnell back helps, and leaving DJ inside helps, and Corey and Allen. And then we've got some other guys that, certainly going to get the opportunity to see what they can do. Thank you.
Just a reminder as well, on Friday, we'll have assistant coaches available from 10 to 11 on the zone.